All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Unpopular on Purpose, the NFL edition. And it is the end of preseason week 1, which means finally football is back. And we are happy about that. Now, technically, it is preseason football, but my opinion on that is when you have been missing something for several months, you will take it in any form you can get it, and all the drama and fallout that comes with it. So, a lot of the starters did not play. We got to see our first glimpses of some of the rookies, Fernando Mendoza and other folks that we've been waiting to see what they look like on the field. A lot of the preseason is coaches running very vanilla offenses. You're not going to get all the full wrinkles that you will see in the regular season because nobody wants to give their hand, And with 10 new coaches, that means there's 20 new coordinators across the league. Everybody's going to be doing something different. So that means that this season is going to be ripe with parity. So we don't know what we're going to see. Now, clearly, right now, there is a fan somewhere of some team who decided that some undrafted free agent rookie or some 7th rounder is going to the Hall of Fame based on the 5 or 6 plays they saw them play over this first week of preseason football. It'd be awesome if it were that easy, but it's usually not. So this is our first episode of Unpopular on Purpose. Normally, this episode would come out on Wednesday. That way we make sure we clear Monday Night Football. We give any shakeout for Tuesday. We want to start, we're going to start the show with our check-ins. 32 coaches, check. Still got 32 head coaches. Nobody lost their job the first week of the preseason, and that's good. 32 GMs, fantastic. All of our starting quarterbacks in place, though Jackson Dart probably wishes he were somewhere else right now because that dude got rocked. If you didn't see that, he's in midseason form, as are the Giants, who I am predicting will finish in the bottom of their division and probably the lower third of the NFC as a whole. That's the rub, and that's where we're headed. I want to thank you for joining us. If you're a member of the Clipboard Nation, if you subscribe to the channel, you will get to see this full episode long before anyone else does. Everybody else will get a little taste. You get a little hors d'oeuvres, an hors d'oeuvre of the show and the reels, but the full show is reserved for folks that are subscribers of the channel. I don't have any theme music yet, so I guess we're just going to get started. Does that sound good? Sound good? All right, let's get started. Welcome to Unpopular on Purpose. Topic number 1, Fernando Mendoza. The Raiders should stop pretending that this is a 3-man competition. Because the Raiders have looked at the last several years of their quarterback play and said, you know what would fix this? More quarterbacks. I think they're taking a page out of the Cleveland Browns book, but right now they got Kirk Cousins, they got Aiden O'Connell and Fernando Mendoza and Clint Kubiak, their coach, is saying that all of them deserve first-team opportunities. Now, whether that is a hook because nobody is really thinking that Aiden O'Connell is going to beat out Kirk Cousins or their first-round draft pick. So maybe that's a hook. Maybe somebody's going to be like, ooh, we'll give the Raiders a 3rd or 4th round pick for Aiden O'Connell because he might be the answer to our quarterback needs. I think if you look up towards New Jersey, there's a team that might take you up on that, or Cleveland. They are always looking to add more quarterbacks to their quarterback room. So Mendoza in this first game against Arizona, he went like 10 for 16, 96 yards, threw a touchdown in 4 drives that he participated in. It's not earth-shattering. Nobody came out to like get him fitted for his gold jacket. He didn't start floating across the field like he was like a Super Saiyan powering up. He looked comfortable, and as a rookie quarterback, that's what you want. You want your rookie to come out and look comfortable. Comfortable is important. So here is my unpopular opinion. Just stop wasting everybody's time and start Fernando Mendoza. Just do it. Not eventually, not let's sit him behind a veteran for a year. Start the kid. You are the Raiders. You do not have a history of succession planning at the quarterback position. You haven't had a really solid, like, I think you had like Derek Carr, David Carr, one of the Carrs. Which one was it? It was Derek Carr, the guy that looks like the kid from Toy Story. He was your most solid quarterback that you've had in years. And he's gone now. But you haven't had an elite tier quarterback in forever, as long as I can remember. And I've been a fan of professional football for 35 years. So just start Fernando Mendoza. He's a Raider. He's going to see some things. He's going to see some things. He's going to see some stuff. And I understand Kirk Cousins' argument. He is a veteran. He will definitely take some of those snaps that Fernando would get beat up on. That way your number one rookie doesn't have to get beat up on every single day that he steps out on the field, because you are a team that is still building. Kirk Cousins is experienced. He knows NFL defenses, and he probably owns several nice grills, whether they be in-mouth grills or grills at home. He hangs them right. They're out there, out back, right beside his collection of khaki pants. But if Fernando Mendoza is legitimately your quarterback of the future, every snap that Kirk Cousins takes is a snap that Mendoza isn't learning. I am officially tired of teams drafting quarterbacks in the first round and then treating them like grandma's fine china. Now, if you've got a history of succession planning, let's look at somebody like Green Bay. Green Bay, they had Brett Favre, and then they drafted Aaron Rodgers. Aaron sat there for like 3 years before getting his shot. But when they gave him a shot, they turned the team over to him, lock, stock, and barrel, no questions asked. Flash forward, they draft Jordan Love. Jordan Love sat there for 3 years and learned under somebody who is going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Now, that relationship didn't end too well, but when they turned the team over to Jordan, there was no question that it was Jordan's team. You bought it, use it. Let's put Fernando Mendoza in right now. Let him take his lumps. Let him make his mistakes. Let him throw his interception. Let him miss the right read. Let him overthrow the open receiver. And there's probably going to be a Sunday somewhere in there where most Raiders fans are going to collectively Google, can you return a quarterback? Return him to Indiana or return him back to the womb from which he came into the world? I do not know. But that's part of the deal, man. With a rookie quarterback, you just got to let him grow and you got to let him go, especially if your organization is in the growing phase. Let these guys grow together. The more he plays with Bowers and the more he plays with Genty and your wideouts, the more chemistry he's going to build. If they struggle through the bad times together, when they get to the good times, they're going to let the good times roll. Topic number 2, Drew Allar. Everybody calm down. Aaron Rodgers is still the quarterback. So this is a little bit of an interesting situation, right? You've got Drew Allar, who came in to this preseason game against Green Bay and looked every bit the part of a professional quarterback. He threw 3 touchdowns, and the Steelers beat the Green Bay Packers 28-9. Green Bay, depleted of a lot of things. No Micah Parsons. They said a lot of folks. So nobody's expecting, and I don't want to count the win as a win because it is, after all, the preseason. But we have entered my favorite part of the preseason traditions, backup quarterback Hall of Fame season. Every August, somebody throws two touchdowns or balls out against a defense featuring 17 people who will be selling insurance by September or working at the local Dick's Sporting Goods. Fans immediately go, "That's our QB1. My unpopular opinion, sit down and shut up. Drink some water. Drew Allar is right where he needs to be." This is Aaron Rodgers' team. Now, back to these stories being connected. We talked about the Raiders. Now we're going to talk about Aaron and the Steelers. This is Aaron's team, and nobody's making any bones about that. But we know that this is it for Aaron Rodgers. This is probably going to be his last year in the league. Now, if you remember when my guy came into the league, Patrick sat his entire rookie year until that very last game. Like, the Chiefs probably knew that they were going to move on from Alex Smith in the offseason. We know that the Steelers are going to be moving on from Aaron Rodgers in this postseason. You let Drew Allar sit back there, and you let Aaron Rodgers, who by all accounts, and what everybody else says, like, what you see with Aaron Rodgers isn't necessarily what you get, because when you talk to people about how he is behind closed doors, like, he's not the same gruffy, like, unlikable person that he might portray as his public persona. He is helpful, and he has changed, and he knows this is his last dance. And what greater legacy could Aaron Rodgers have than being the guy who set Drew Allar up for success? Now, if I'm Pittsburgh, I am excited because he looks good. Now, we will see in short order. Let him come out. Let's see if he replicates that. He could only play who he plays. So if he's going up against third-team people, then he needs to look like he did the other day, and he needs to dominate those people. When he starts going up against second-team people, the competition, it should look a little more stiff, but he still should be able to handle it. Now, if he gets the opportunity in the preseason to play against any ones, which more than likely he probably won't, but you never know. They might, one of these games, somebody might stick in their ones for a few minutes. He might look outmatched, but does he look comfortable? Think back to her talking about Fernando Mendoza. He stepped out there and he looked comfortable. Granted, second and third string players on the opposing defense preseason, but regardless, he played who he played and he looked good, just like Drew Allar looked good. So, again, restating my opinion, shut up. It's Aaron Rodgers' team. I have a lot of friends who are Steeler fans, and they're like, "Oh, they ought to let this guy go ahead and play." And that's usually how they sound. No. Drew Allar, sit down, hold the clipboard, learn from one of the greatest to ever do it. And next year, in the offseason, as soon as your team is eliminated from the playoffs, because he will be, that's a story for a different day, you get to work, because it's going to be your squad next year. If you show up in this preseason and you show through the course of the year, because Aaron Rodgers is old, I promise you he's going to miss a game or two over the course of the year. You show up. This is your team going forward. Commander of the Pittsburghian Steelers. Back to young quarterbacks, because that's what really the preseason is all about. Everybody's curious about these quarterbacks. Oops. The Rams have done it again. They've done it again. Now, this one I wasn't ready for because I was watching this game, because I am a Chiefs homer. Say what you will. The Rams took Ty Simpson with the 13th pick in the first round, and everybody, even some people on his team were like, "Man, what the hell y'all doing, G?" You know what I'm saying? Like, people thought that after the career he had in college, where he had a limited number of starts. Those were a lot of those big questions surrounding him, but, everybody looked at Sean McVay and went like, yo, are y'all sure? And even Sean McVay, whether it was an act or whatever was going on with that weird interchange on draft night, Sean McVay didn't look like that was the guy he wanted either. Now, maybe it's because, and I saw an interview with him recently where he was talking about how poorly that he handled the Jared Goff trade. Maybe he feels a sense of loyalty to Matthew Stafford, which he would. But the string of continuity which plays through, think about what Pittsburgh has gone through since Ben Roethlisberger left. Instant churn. And it was because Ben was great. And so you want to give your future Hall of Famer his due. But at some point in time, you've got to prepare for the inevitability of him moving on. And Pittsburgh didn't. And with Mike Tomlin there, Pittsburgh was good enough to not have a losing season, but not bad enough to get a high round draft pick. And whether their GM wanted to or not, he never made the leap to go up in that first round and get some of these quarterbacks that may have been available to succeed Ben Roethlisberger. So the Rams go into Arrowhead Stadium and they win 20-12. And in the fourth quarter, Ty Simpson throws like 2 fourth-quarter touchdowns to some other guy who was an undrafted free agent, Dean Connors. And the Rams win, and suddenly McVay is standing over in the corner looking like a freaking evil genius, like he knows something the rest of us don't. Now, Matthew Stafford is one of my favorite, like my top 5 QBs in the league, which I'm sure he is for a lot of one. But my unpopular opinion, Ty Simpson was not overdrafted. The rest of us undervalued him, but there is a difference. Because NFL fans have this strange relationship with the draft. If somebody is a second-round prospect and an NFL team takes him 13th, we immediately decide the team made the mistake. But wait, the people with the scouts, the interviews, the medical information, the private workouts, the millions of dollars riding on us, those people might know a little more about this process than I, the person who read 2 or 3 mock drafts while I was taking a dump does the night before. It's impossible for us as fans to understand, but they probably got their guy. And I think we always look and say, oh, we need to win now. Like, you can't always be looking right in front of your nose. Sometimes you have to step back and see the whole forest and not just the tree. Matthew Stafford is an aging quarterback. And string of continuity, we've talked about this before. You don't want to be one of these teams that hangs on to the good feelings that your quarterback produced. Matthew Stafford came to LA and they won a Super Bowl. That is phenomenal. Cheers and props to him. But eventually, there is one opponent that is undefeated. Father Time. And he catches everybody. Most everybody. So, I'm not saying that Ty Simpson is going to be the next Matthew Stafford. One preseason game is not going to dictate his whole career. But I am saying this. If there was one offensive coach who has earned the benefit of the doubt when he says, I can work with this quarterback, Sean McVay is probably high on the list. He's sitting at the table with an Andy Reid. He's sitting at the table with my man in Minnesota, Kevin O'Connell. I mean, for God's sake, Sam Darnold won the Super Bowl after leaving Minnesota and going to Seattle. So, like, there's 3 or 4 people I would trust with a quarterback in that situation. And Ty Simpson, he gets a situation where there's no pressure. He doesn't have to come here and be great. He has to come here and be Ty Simpson. He gets an offense that was designed by people who understand how offenses are supposed to work. And he gets a phenomenal, like, core group of talent. Who wouldn't want to be throwing to Devontae Adams on one side and Puka Nacua on the other? Come on, man. And if that wasn't enough, on the other side of the ball, freaking one of the Avengers on the defensive line, what are people going to do? Whoever's the quarterback of the Rams may have to throw like 5 or 6 passes a game because they are probably always going to be playing with a lead. Topic 4. Pass. Pass, please? We've been talking about quarterbacks. So it is only right that we talk about the Cleveland. And now Cleveland. Because, of course, Cleveland has a quarterback story. It's practically required by federal law. They have had the greatest churn of any organization in the modern Super Bowl era. More people have started games for the Cleveland Browns than any other organization at the starting quarterback position. So the Browns went into the preseason trying to sort through a crowded quarterback situation. And the first game against Chicago produced mixed results because the Bears, to use a phrase from Jacob Fatu in WWE, they dog walk that ass. This is where preseason quarterback battles become a little dangerous because every completion becomes evidence. Every interception becomes like a congressional investigation. And every fan has already picked their guy. You've got your Legion of Deshaun. You've got the perfect time for Shador. And you even got some folks who want Dylan Gabriel to get a chance. My unpopular opinion, stop trying to find a quarterback who wins the preseason. Find the quarterback who makes your offense make sense. And those are not necessarily the same person. One guy might make a spectacular throw. One guy might move the offense consistently. One might avoid turnovers. And one of them might look fantastic against the third string defense at 9:47 at night while half the stadium is on their way out trying to beat traffic home. That doesn't mean he's your franchise quarterback. Cleveland has spent too much time looking for a quarterback to save the franchise. Stop asking these quarterbacks to perform an exorcism, man. Build a functional offense. Protect the quarterback, run the football, and ask the quarterback to operate the machine. But here's what Cleveland cannot do again. You can't spend September changing quarterbacks every time somebody has a bad Sunday. Pick one, commit for the good times, for the bad times. Give him the first team reps in practice, not some of them. Don't split him with anybody. He gets them all. Build an offense around what he does well. I could tell you from what I saw of that Cleveland game, Shador's not an under the center sort of guy. He's not. So if he's your guy, build your offense around what he does well. And live with the decision long enough to actually learn. When you have 3 quarterbacks competing, you don't have 3 starting quarterbacks. You have 0 settled quarterbacks. And Cleveland right now needs stability more than it needs an August hero. Stop searching for Superman. Find Clark Kent and build a football team around him. And he probably will turn into Superman. All right, topic 5. The biggest winner of the week 1 is everybody who did not overreact. And finally, you guys come in here. We need to have a family meeting. Because after one weekend of preseason football, I've already seen enough preseason declarations to last me until Thanksgiving. Oh, this guy's a bust. That guy is going to be our rookie of the year. This team is going to the Super Bowl. That coach should be fired. Sir or ma'am, your starting quarterback played 6 snaps. Some, probably most of your starters, did not play at all. The Patriots rested most of their starters against Indianapolis, for example, turning their opener largely into an evaluation of depth in young players. Meanwhile, around the league, coaches are evaluating rookies, backups, roster battles, and players fighting just to survive final cuts. The preseason is not about finding that guy. The preseason is finding the guys that can be okay enough to back up the guys. Because most of the time, if you look at a lot of these teams could go through and tell you who their number ones are. So here's my final unpopular opinion. My unpopular on purpose opinion: preseason results mean almost nothing. And you know that. But preseason performances could mean quite a bit. And there is a difference. I don't care that the Steelers beat Green Bay 28-9. I care that Drew Allar looked comfortable. I don't care that the Raiders lost 27-14. I care that when Fernando Mendoza came in the game, he looked like he knew how to run an NFL offense. I don't care that the Rams beat Kansas City. No, fuck that, I do. It's still preseason, but they're still the Chiefs. But for the sake of argument, I don't care that the Rams beat Kansas City. I care that Ty Simpson responded when he got his opportunity. The scoreboard is actually irrelevant. I honestly think they shouldn't even keep score in these preseason games. They should have a clock, and you should be running your plays based on the clock, but they shouldn't keep score. Don't track the stats. Don't say, oh, this is the first touchdown in the new Highmark State. No, the fuck it's not, because it doesn't count. The scoreboard is irrelevant. The scoreboard does not count. The individual moments, those matter. Preseason isn't about finding who's going to win the Super Bowl. It's about finding the clues. Who looks comfortable? Who looks lost? Who's earned another week? And who is going to go home on Monday? Who just made the coaching staff rethink positioning on a depth chart? And who is going to become the guy that everybody pretends they knew about before the season? So yes, overreact. That's half the fun. Just understand what you are overreacting to, because preseason week 1 doesn't tell us who's good. It tells us what questions we should be asking next. And after one weekend, I've got a question. I've got lots of questions. And luckily, we have 3 more weeks to make completely unpopular opinions about them. Those are my 5. Now I need yours. Which take was the worst? Should Mendoza start immediately? Does everybody just need to leave Drew Allar alone? Did the Rams actually know what they were doing when they drafted Ty Simpson? Cleveland needs to stop treating their quarterbacks like Pokemon. Do they really need to catch them all? Or do you feel that preseason wins mean something? Not the wins, because the wins go away. You think about the wins not counting for anything. That 0-16 Detroit team, they went 4-0 that preseason. So you tell me the preseason means something, and I will point back to that particular fact. And remember, on this show, my show, I don't always have to be right. I just have to be unpopular on purpose. See you guys next week.